All right, so this is going to be the first video for Unit 3, which starts with Chapter 7. So for 7.1, you can use the following link to help you answer the questions. You are also very welcome to use Google to look this stuff up for Ontario. So to obtain a G1 driver's license in Ontario, there's a total fee of how much money. Now, if you look it up, it will tell you that it is a total fee of $159.75. Now, $16 of this fee is for the knowledge test. $53.75 is for the G2 road test. And $90 of it is for the 5-year license. The next question is list the items that you need to take with you when you apply for a G1 license. So you need to bring 2 pieces of ID. It can be passport, health card, birth certificate. They have to be government issued pieces of ID. You need to bring the money to be able to pay for the test and the license. And if you wear glasses, you need to bring your glasses or your contacts so that you can actually see when you're doing it, and also they need to put it onto your license that you need to wear glasses. The next question is what allows a G1 licensed driver to reduce their time in level 1 from 12 months to 8 months, and that is a driving course. So if you take a driving course, then you get to take your G2 license faster. Number 4, each person in a vehicle needs to wear a working seatbelt. There are other conditions on the holder of a G1 license. List them. So the first one is no 400 series highways, no driving between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m. and your accompanying driver has to have a blood alcohol level of lower than 0.5. And the last one is that your blood alcohol level has to be at 0. So the driver's blood alcohol level has to be at 0%. Under what conditions can a driver with a G1 license drive on roads with a speed limit greater than 80 kilometers an hour? So this is if you are accompanied by an instructor. They will usually take you onto highways just for a little bit to get you used to it before you write. We don't write a G2 test before you drive your G2 test. All right, number 6, Dylan obtained his G1 license on his birthday, March 17th. He took an approved driver training program shortly after his birthday. What is the earliest date he can attempt the G2 test? And that is 8 months later, on November 17th. All right, the next part here is Beth's birthday is May 15th. She waited until November 3rd to get her G1. If she does not enroll in a driver training program, when can she get her G2? And that would be November 3rd of the following year. So you can't, just because if you wait later to take your test does not mean that you get a shorter time in G1. It is a full year or 8 months if you have a course from the time you took the test. Alrighty. The next question is what is the approximate range of cost of a driver training program, and that is, depending on where you're going and what part of the province you're in, $800 to $1,200. All right, determine whether each statement is true or false. A new driver has to take a driver training course. False. You do not have to take it, you will just have to wait 1 year. An untrained new driver with a G1 license cannot drive on a highway like the 401. That is true. The road test to get from a level 1 to level 2 does not take place on a highway. So for C, that is also true. They do not necessarily take place on highways, but they will take place on fast roads to see how you merge, kind of thing. Question D. After passing the road test and obtaining a G2 license, a driver can drive home alone on a 400 series highway, even though she has never driven on one before, and that also is true. All right, number 9, what is the speed limit in any built-up city or town in Ontario if there's no posted speed? That is 50 kilometers an hour. At this speed, how long will it take to travel 20 kilometers? Now, we have the fact that speed is your distance over time in this equation. So if we have distance over time, we have 50 kilometers in 1 hour, or we could say 60 minutes. And we're going to do some cross multiplying here. We want to know how many minutes, so X minutes for 20 kilometers. So here we're going to multiply. So to get X, we're going to do 60 minutes times 20 kilometers, and then we're going to divide by the 50. Now this means our kilometers cancel out, and what we are left with in the calculator is 24 minutes. So it takes 24 minutes. The next part, C. What distance would you travel in 45 minutes at this speed? So this is very similar. You have 50 kilometers, 60 minutes. Now we're looking for the kilometers, so I'll put X there. We have 45 minutes, and we are cross multiplying. So whatever is across from each other gets multiplied. So I have no room underneath, so I'll just do X is 50 kilometers times 45 minutes. And then whatever is left gets divided. So this gives us 37.5 kilometers, and that is how much you will be going, what distance you will do. All right, 10A, what is the speed limit on any other road in Ontario if there's no posted limit? And that is 80 kilometers an hour. And then the same questions, how much time will it take to travel 20 kilometers? So we'll do the same thing. So these ones here get multiplied. And you divide it by the one that's left. And it will take 15 minutes. What distance will you travel in 45 minutes? So you have 80 kilometers in 60 minutes, an unknown distance in 45 minutes. So these guys get multiplied. And you will travel 60 kilometers. right, so number 11. What is the speed limit on most 400 series? That is 100 kilometers an hour. A lot are turning into 110. They're testing that out, so maybe in the future it will be 110 everywhere. So the next question is, at this speed, how long will it take to travel 10 kilometers? So here we have our 100 kilometers for 60 minutes. Gives us 10 kilometers in how many minutes? And you do the exact same thing we just did before. So you do 60 minutes times 10 kilometers divided by your 100 kilometers, and x will be 6 minutes. And then what distance would you travel in 45 minutes at this speed? So here we have, once again, our 100 kilometers and our 60 minutes. And we want to know the distance in 45 minutes. So x is these two times each other. And then that, if you put it in the calculator, you'll get 75 kilometers. All right, state the minimum time that a driver must stay in level 2. You have to stay at least 12 months. So a full year, there's no way to get out of that like there was for the G1. List the 2 restrictions placed on a G2 license other than everyone wearing a seatbelt, and that's your blood alcohol level is 0%. And then also between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m., you're only allowed 1 passenger under 19 years old. That's not family. All right, when do these restrictions change? That's 6 months in. So the way that will change is that you can have 3 people instead of 1 under 19. All right, the last little part here is accidents happen. You'll perform 2 insurance rates quotes. So I will help you figure out the first one, and then you'll do the second one. So it's for you and then for a parent guardian as well. So your insurance rate quote is, we're going to calculate the insurance rate by following these steps. So we're going to start with $1,000 a year for someone who's 30 years old with a clean driving record. Now we're going to have the age. Let's presume that you are 17. And we're going to add 5% for every year you're below 30. So first off, let's figure out what 5% is. 5% of $1,000 is going to be $50. Now remember, it's 5% times 1,000 will give you that. The next step here is going to be to figure out how many years that is. So 30 minus 17 gives you 13 years. And then the next step is how many times do you have to put in $50? So it's 13 years times the $50 gives you $650. And then we'll have our new total, which is 1,000 plus 650, which is $1,650. Now the second part here is to state your gender. So if you are male, you'll add 50%. So let's presume male. All right, so we're going to take our sum we had, our total, times 50%, and that is going to give us 825, and then we add that, so we'll have a new total of $2,475. Now, if you have any of the below, you would also add in some points. So 15% for each point you have based on the risk chart below. So if you've received a ticket, a minor accident in the last 5 years, accidents and more than one ticket in the past 5 years, accidents with major convictions as well in the last 5 years. So things stay for 5 years. Depending on the accident, they could stay for more years. They could stay for 6 or 7. So that is also something to think about when you are driving. If you get a ticket, it does stick around for quite a while. And then so you'll see what your final total is. And then the last part here is to do so for your parent or guardian, and I will leave that part up to you to do individually. And after that, we'll be on to over this question, which is state the difference. So you'll take the higher one and subtract to get the difference between them. And you'll see what the difference is. Generally, the older person has a lower insurance rate. So this is the explanation. And that is simply because they have more experience and are less risk. Now, that's not all that's included when you are looking for insurance. All of these things over here are also looked at, but that is a much more complicated calculation. So the next thing is going to be 7.2, and that will be a different video.